Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. My name is Cameron Myers and my home office had always been my sanctuary, the one place where I felt fully in control. The meticulously organized files, the wall lined with plaques and certificates, all of it was a testament to the order I'd built my life around. But tonight, that carefully curated order was crumbling. I stared at the stack of credit card statements spread out before me. Each page was another crack in the foundation of trust I'd spent decades building. The last of the sunset cut through the blinds, painting amber streaks across my desk and lighting up the rows of numbers that refused to make sense. Or rather, made far too much sense once I forced myself to see them. My fingers drummed on the wood, a nervous tick I'd picked up somewhere over 23 years of marriage to Scarlett. Just look at the patterns, I muttered, reaching for my reading glasses. Follow the money. Iris had always been careful with money. Always. My daughter was responsible, thoughtful, never reckless, until recently. The last few months had been nothing but a steady drip of text messages, each one politely asking for help. Dad, can you cover a textbook? Dad, my car needed a new alternator. Dad, the lab fee went up this semester. Every request came with a perfectly plausible explanation, and I had wanted to believe her. Of course I had. That's what fathers do. They believe. They provide. They trust. But as I pored over the statements again, patterns rose to the surface like bruises. A series of restaurant charges stood out, a pattern that gnawed at me. Tuesday, 2:30 p.m., L-Zone downtown. Thursday, 3:15 p.m., the Capitol Grill. Icy dread pooled in my stomach. Iris was supposed to be in advanced economics and business law during those hours. A sharp buzz rattled the phone on my desk. I picked it up and felt my chest tighten at the familiar name flashing across the screen. Iris again. Dad, hate to ask, but I need help with a course fee, $500. Can you transfer it tonight? It's kind of urgent. I leaned back in my chair, the leather creaking beneath me. $500 more. That made $2,000 in the past month alone. My hands hovered over the keyboard, muscle memory ready to type the familiar reply. Of course, honey, of course, but something made me stop. I looked back down at the statements, willing them to rearrange themselves into an innocent explanation. Nothing. The sound of heels tapping on the hardwood floor jolted me from my thoughts. I looked up. Scarlett stood in the doorway, framed in the golden light. Her charcoal business suit was perfectly tailored, dark hair falling in waves that had once driven me to distraction back in law school. She smiled that same familiar, practiced smile. Everything okay, honey? She asked, leaning one shoulder against the doorframe. You've been up here for hours. I forced my face into a careful, neutral mask and gestured to the piles of paper around me. Just looking over some financials, I said. Iris has been asking for more help lately. I frowned, the numbers still swirling around in my mind like a wasp I couldn't swat away. I'm a bit concerned, I admitted, choosing my words with care. Something flickered across Scarlett's face, so quick, so subtle, I almost missed it. A tiny break in her polished, concerned mother routine. Fear. She crossed the room toward me, her perfume arriving before she did, expensive, commanding, the scent I'd known for years. Her manicured hand rested lightly on my shoulder, too light to comfort, too practiced to reassure. She's just going through a rough patch, she said, her voice carrying that lawyer's confidence I'd once admired, even envied. You know how expensive college is these days. Books, fees, living expenses. Interesting you should mention expenses, I said, lifting a stack of statements, letting the paper rustle. I didn't look at her, not yet. Some of these charges seem unusual for a college student. Her grip on my shoulder tightened, just a fraction. Oh, L-Zone, the Capitol Grill, the Four Seasons downtown. I read out calmly, each name a hammer on the anvil of my suspicion. Then I turned to look directly at her. Pretty high-end for study sessions, don't you think? She hesitated, then answered a beat too fast. She probably went out with friends. You know how kids are these days, always trying to impress each other on social media. I kept my face neutral. During her class times. A pause. Tense. Telling. I'm thinking of sitting down with her. I continued, letting the idea hang in the air like bait, go through her spending. Help her set up a budget. Maybe even meet some of these friends she's spending so much time with. The hand on my shoulder went rigid, the polished nails digging ever so slightly into the fabric of my shirt. Oh, I wouldn't worry too much, Scarlett said, quickly, far too quickly. She's an adult now, Cameron. We need to let her figure these things out on her own. Before I could press further, her phone chimed from the pocket of her blazer. She fished it out, eyes darting to the screen, then tucked it away with a speed that set off alarm bells. But I caught it, just a glimpse of the name. Grayson. Work emails, she said, already retreating toward the door. You know how it is, clients never sleep. Sure, I said, voice flat. Don't stay up too late worrying about this, she added with a breezy smile, slipping out of the office. I watched the door swing shut behind her, the hinges clicking home like the lock on a prison cell. Then I turned back to the stack of statements, my pulse hammering. I opened my banking app, scanning through the transfers to Iris's account. The amounts varied, but they were regular, frighteningly regular. Every 2 weeks, another excuse. Another crisis. I flipped open my laptop and started digging deeper, credit card statements, bank transfers, anything tied to our accounts. As the hours ticked by, I built out a spreadsheet, mapping out the transactions, the dates, the patterns. At first, it all looked legitimate. Textbooks, school fees, little emergencies. But as I categorized them, patterns emerged like mold under fresh paint. Red flags, one after another. Restaurant charges for two, where Iris claimed to be studying alone. Hotel charges, passed off as school fees. Cash withdrawals lining up perfectly with so-called textbook purchases. My stomach turned. Then a name hit me square in the gut. Grayson Steele. I froze. I'd heard that name before. Scarlett had mentioned him, a colleague from her firm. New partner. Rising star. What the hell was his name doing buried in Iris's expenses? My fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up more records. There it was, again and again, Grayson Steele's name, woven through the financial web like a poison thread. My stomach turned to stone. No. I whispered, pushing back from the desk, the chair creaking with the motion. No, no, no. I fumbled with my phone, pulling up the gallery, scrolling through family photos, desperate to reassure myself. There. Last month's family dinner. Scarlett, smiling that perfect lawyer's smile, her arm looped around my waist. Iris, beaming, leaning just close enough to look convincing. At first, I thought it was the perfect portrait. A happy family. But now I saw what I'd missed. Scarlett's smile, it didn't quite reach her eyes. Iris, her gaze darting away from the camera. The careful distance between them. The secret they were holding, side by side. My heart twisted. My phone buzzed again, jerking me back to the present. Iris. Dad, about that transfer, the fee is due tonight. My hands were shaking as I set the phone down. I couldn't do it. I couldn't answer her. The betrayal cut deep enough from Scarlett. But Iris? My little girl? Memories came in a flood, nearly knocking me breathless. Holding the back of her tiny bicycle as she wobbled across the park for the first time. Standing at her side through her first heartbreak, her tears soaking my shirt. Staying up late night after night, drilling her on practice exams. Filing her college applications with her, telling her she could do anything. While I'd been working to build a future for them, they had been systematically tearing me apart. The next morning, I went through my routine on autopilot. Shower, shave, suit, tie. Scarlett was already up, gathering her things for the office, as polished and composed as ever. I forced myself to go through the motions, kissed her on the cheek, let her fix my tie. Every gesture felt hollow, every word a carefully wrapped lie. Dinner tonight, she asked, casual, breezy, like nothing had happened. She smoothed down my lapel, eyes bright and empty. I might have to work late, but I should be home by 7. Working late with Grayson? I asked, my voice even, too even. She hesitated, the smallest crack, then nodded. Sure, she replied, too fast. I forced a smile. I'll pick up something from that Italian place you like. You're the best, she said, kissing my cheek again, her lips like ice. Love you. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat. At work, I made 3 calls before my coffee had even gone cold. First, the bank. This is Cameron Myers. I need to make some changes to my accounts. Yes, remove all secondary access. No, do not notify the other cardholders. Yes, I understand it's unusual. I take full responsibility. Second, my lawyer, Ronan Chase. Ronan, I need to meet today. No, I can't wait. Yes, it's about Scarlett. I have evidence. I need everything ready before she knows what's happening. Third, a private investigator Ronan had once recommended. I need surveillance on 2 people. Yes, I'll send their schedules. I want everything, photos, video, audio if possible. Money is no object. By lunchtime, the wheels were already turning. I'd cut off Iris's credit cards, each one quietly canceled. The family accounts would be locked down by day's end. The investigator was already preparing. My phone lit up, panic bleeding through the message. Dad, my card just got declined. Is something wrong with the account? I stared at her words, remembering every time Iris had called me, crying over some tiny problem, a scraped knee, a failed grade, a broken heart, and how I'd always been there to fix it. Now, every single cry for help felt like another twist of the knife. Must be a system error. I typed back to Iris, my fingers moving on autopilot. I'll look into it. The lie tasted bitter on my tongue, but after everything they'd done, it felt appropriate. They taught me how this game was played, I reminded myself grimly. That evening, I heard the front door swing open. Heavy, hurried footsteps pounded past my office without even a glance, straight toward the kitchen. Iris. I stood just out of view, the shadows of the doorway my shield, listening. Their voices, hushed, strained, brimming with panic, drifted up the stairs. Mom, all the cards are declined. Iris's voice cracked, scared in a way I'd never heard from her before. He's going to figure it out. Lower your voice. Scarlett hissed, sharper than I'd ever heard her speak to our daughter. Your father's upstairs. I don't care. This is serious, Iris pressed. What if he traces the payments to Grayson? He won't, Scarlett shot back, her tone brittle. We've been careful. A pause, a stuttering breath. Just give me time to figure something out, Scarlett continued. I'll talk to Grayson tomorrow. And what am I supposed to do until then? Iris's voice was breaking. I have bills due. Use cash, Scarlett ordered. I'll get you some tomorrow. Just stay calm and act normal. I felt my fingernails biting half-moons into my palms as I stood there, listening. Every word another betrayal. Every syllable a fresh knife twisting into my back. The two people I trusted most in the world, my wife, my daughter, conspiring behind my back as if I were some obstacle to be managed, some problem to be ignored. A part of me wanted to storm down those stairs and confront them, rip the entire rotten truth into the open, force them to look at what they'd done. But no. This requires a cooler head, I told myself. They'd played me for a fool, for months, maybe longer. Now it was my turn to play the game. I waited until I heard Iris leave, the front door slamming with a frustrated thud, before I stepped downstairs, schooling my expression into something easy, normal. Scarlett was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. Calm, collected, as if she hadn't just been plotting my downfall with our daughter. Everything okay? I asked, keeping my voice as casual as a Sunday afternoon, like I'd heard nothing. I thought I heard Iris. Scarlett startled, the knife slipping in her grip. She nearly dropped it, but recovered fast, too fast. Oh, yes, she stammered, eyes skating past mine. She just stopped by to borrow some books for class. Books? I echoed, crossing my arms and leaning against the counter. I let my gaze linger on her trembling hands. Anything specific? She swallowed. Just course materials. Business law stuff. She turned away, rattling pans, pretending to check something in the oven. How was your day? She asked, voice forced brittle. Interesting, I said, letting the word hang heavy. I saw her shoulders tighten. I went on, my tone pleasant, measured. I've been thinking about taking you away for a weekend. Maybe to that hotel downtown you like so much, the Four Seasons. The knife paused mid-chop. I saw the tiniest tremor go through her. Oh, I don't know if I can get away from work right now, she stammered. Big case coming up. Grayson and I, the team, we're all really busy. Grayson. I filed it away, still smiling, even as I felt like I might be sick. Grayson, I repeated lightly. That's the new partner, right? You've mentioned him before. Yes, she said quickly, her hands fussing with plates in the sink. He joined last year. Nothing special. Just another colleague. Just another colleague, I repeated in my head. Just another colleague she was sleeping with, while their daughter helped cover her tracks. Maybe I'll stop by your office tomorrow, I suggested, keeping my tone easy. We could do lunch. I haven't seen the new office setup since the renovation. The sound of a plate slipping and clattering in the sink was answer enough. No, Scarlett blurted out, too quickly, then forced a brittle laugh. It's sweet of you to offer, but tomorrow is packed with meetings. Rain check. Sure, I said, letting the smile linger, letting her think she'd gotten away with it. Rain check. I left her there, rattled, and retreated to my office. I pulled up the PI's preliminary report, scrolling through the grim, inevitable confirmation of what I'd already known in my gut. Grayson Steele, 45, divorced, newly minted partner at Scarlett's firm. Multiple witness accounts had placed them together outside of work hours. Hotel records, restaurant receipts, everything matching perfectly with the trail of Iris's school expenses. The phone buzzed again. Dad, please, I really need help with these payments. Can we talk, please? I stared at the screen, trying to match that pleading tone with the girl I thought I'd raised. All those times I'd dropped everything for her, never hesitating, never questioning, because that's what fathers did. But now I knew the truth. She hadn't needed me. She'd needed my money to help her mother maintain an affair right under my nose. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard before I typed a single word. No. Then I started making plans. If they wanted to play games with my trust, fine. But they were going to learn the cost of betrayal. Over the next few days, I worked with a surgeon's precision, documenting everything. Every charge, every lie, every overheard whisper when they thought I couldn't hear. Every night Scarlett mentioned she'd be working late with the team. Every time Iris came with another fabricated emergency. It all went in the file. I watched the cracks grow. The facade they'd built was beginning to crumble under the financial pressure. Iris's texts turned frantic. "Dad, my rent is due, please. I can't afford my textbooks, just talk to me, please." Scarlett grew distracted, checking her phone at every spare moment. They watched me with wary eyes, trying to measure if I suspected anything. I played my part to perfection, the concerned father, the loving husband, all while quietly cutting off every dollar they depended on. About a week after the truth came crashing down, I sat in my office one evening, reviewing the final confirmations from Ronan. Everything was in place. All accounts locked. The evidence bulletproof. The divorce paperwork waiting. A soft knock pulled me out of my thoughts. I looked up. Iris stood there in the doorway, tears streaming down her face, hair tangled like she'd been crying for hours. "Daddy, can we talk?" That word, Daddy, hit me like a hammer to the ribs. How long had it been since she'd called me that? And now she dusted it off, like a broken toy, because she needed something. "Come in," I said, careful to keep my voice steady, neutral. She stepped forward and perched on the edge of the chair across from me, small and fragile, like she had been when she was a kid who'd done something wrong and knew it. "I know you canceled the cards," she said, voice cracking, and froze my access to the accounts. She swallowed, eyes glassy. "What?" I leaned back in my chair, studying my daughter's face. I looked at her, really looked at her, the face I'd loved unconditionally for 20 years. The face I'd kissed goodnight, the face I'd comforted through tears, the face I'd always believed in. But now, all I could see was the face that had lied to me, again and again, without a shred of remorse. "I think you know why, Iris," I said evenly. She paled, but she didn't look away. "Dad, please, whatever you think is going on, just stop." My voice cut through her little performance like a blade. "No more lies. No more games," I snapped. "I know everything. Everything, Grayson Steele, the hotels, the restaurants. How you've been helping your mother hide her affair. All of it." Her mask crumbled right in front of me. Tears spilled over, running down her cheeks in shaking rivulets. "Daddy, I can explain." "Explain what?" I kept my tone cold, steady, merciless. "Explain how you helped your mother betray me? How you took money from me, money I worked for, and used it to help her deceive me." "She's my mother," Iris whispered, breaking under the weight of the truth. "She needed my help. And I'm your father." I shot back, voice sharp enough to draw blood. "The father who supported you, loved you, gave you everything you ever needed. And this is how you repay that love? By helping destroy our family." "I didn't want to," she sobbed, shoulders shaking. "She came to me. She said she was unhappy. She said if I didn't help. She manipulated you." I cut her off and let out a humorless laugh. "You're 20 years old, Iris. An adult. You made an adult decision to betray me. Don't try to play the victim now. Please," she begged, reaching across the desk to take my hand. I pulled back, and she flinched as if I'd struck her. "I'm sorry," she choked out. "I didn't know what else to do." "You could have told me the truth," I said coldly. "You could have been loyal to the parent who has never betrayed you. Instead, you chose to be complicit in your mother's adultery." Her shoulders slumped. "What's going to happen now?" she asked, her voice so small I could barely hear it. My smile was like ice. "Now," I said, "you get to experience the consequences of your choices. No more financial support. No more daddy's money to fund your mother's infidelity." She gasped. "But my tuition, my rent." "Not my problem anymore," I interrupted, turning deliberately back to my computer. "You're an adult, Iris. You made an adult decision to betray me. Now you can face adult consequences. Dad, please, get out." She sat there for another moment, silently crying, as if searching for any scrap of comfort. But I had nothing left to give. Eventually she pushed herself up, legs shaking, and fled the office. I listened to her run down the stairs, the front door slamming behind her, then a car engine starting and fading into the night. A few minutes later, Scarlett's voice rose from the first floor. "Cameron, is everything all right? I just got a hysterical call from Iris." I didn't answer. Let her wonder. Let her sweat. Through my office window, I watched her pacing in the backyard, phone pressed to her ear, her free hand waving in frantic gestures. Even from a distance, I could read the panic in her body language. My computer chimed, pulling me from my thoughts. A new email from the PI. More photos. More evidence. My jaw tightened as I clicked open the attachment. There they were. Scarlett and Grayson, clear as day, leaving a restaurant together, his hand resting on the small of her back, her leaning into him, laughing at something he'd said. The timestamp glared up at me like a slap. Yesterday afternoon. One of her supposed client meetings. Another image. The Four Seasons. The same hotel that had shown up on Iris's credit card again and again. The same hotel where Scarlett and I had celebrated our 20th anniversary just last year. My throat burned with a rage so sharp it felt almost clean. My phone buzzed, vibrating across the desk. Scarlett, coming up to talk. We need to discuss Iris. I closed the photos, steadying my breath, then pulled up my email. 2 draft messages waited like loaded rounds in a chamber. One to Ronan, green-lighting everything we'd planned. Another to the PI, authorizing him to release the evidence to the right people. I heard her footsteps on the stairs. Quick, determined. The confident click of heels from a woman who still believed she was in control. Without hesitation, I hit send on both emails. A moment later, Scarlett appeared in the doorway. Perfect composure, except for that tiny fray around the edges. That tremor she couldn't quite hide. What's going on? She demanded. Iris is absolutely distraught. I turned slowly to face her, taking in every detail. The familiar eyes, the mouth I'd kissed for 23 years, the woman I'd built a life with. The same woman who had burned that life to the ground. Interesting, I said calmly, that you'd rush up here about Iris. But you haven't once asked about the credit cards. She blinked, thrown off balance. What do you mean? The cards that were declined, I explained, cold and even. The accounts that were frozen. The financial support that's been terminated. Her hand tightened on the door frame. Iris mentioned. Stop lying, Scarlett. My voice was soft, but it carried the weight of a hammer. You're not in a courtroom now, I told her. This isn't a case you can win with clever arguments. Color drained from her face, leaving her pale and brittle. Cameron, whatever you think. The Four Seasons. I cut in, opening the spreadsheet I'd compiled, letting the glow of the screen throw her sins back at her. Yesterday, 2:30 p.m. You and Grayson seemed very comfortable together. Tell me, was that a client meeting too? She stepped back, her designer heels snagging in the carpet. You had me followed, she gasped. I gave a humorless laugh. I had the truth followed. I corrected. It led straight to you. And to our daughter, who you corrupted into helping hide your affair. It's not what you think, really. Should we go through it? I asked, tapping the screen, each entry a blade. Every hotel visit, every romantic dinner, every lie you told me while our daughter helped cover your tracks. I looked her dead in the eyes. Or should we talk about how you used my money? Money I earned working 60-hour weeks to finance your infidelity. I finished, the words burning my tongue as they left me. Scarlett's lawyer mask finally cracked, the performance shattering. Please, let me explain. I stood abruptly, my chair scraping hard against the floor. I'm done with explanations, I snapped. Done with lies. Done with both of you. Both of us, she echoed, voice breaking. Leave Iris out of this, Cameron. She tried, desperate, clinging to any advantage. She was just trying to help her mother destroy her father? I cut in, to assist in tearing this family apart. I shook my head, disgust curling in my gut. Don't try to protect her now. She made her choice. Tears welled up in Scarlett's eyes. And for once, I knew they were real, not the carefully placed droplets she used in court to sway juries. What are you going to do? She choked out. I gestured to my computer, to the open windows on my screen. I've already done it, I said coldly. The divorce papers have been filed. The evidence has been sent to your firm's ethics board. Everything you and Grayson tried to hide is about to become very, very public. She looked like she might collapse. You can't. I can't, I told her flatly. And I did. I took a step closer. You taught me well, Scarlett. You showed me exactly how to play this game. The only difference is, I paused, letting the words sink in. I'm better at it. She staggered, the full meaning of what I'd done slamming into her like a car crash. This will ruin my career, she gasped. Yes, I said simply. And Iris will learn that actions have consequences, just like her mother. Her knees buckled, and she clung to the doorframe for balance, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Please, Cameron, she pleaded. We can work this out. Go to counseling, start over. I walked to the window and looked out at the life I'd built with her, the manicured lawn, the garden she'd loved, the treehouse I'd built for Iris when she was 7. All of it, I realized now, built on a foundation of lies. There's nothing to work out, I said, my back still to her. Nothing to save. I drew a slow breath, steady and final. You and Iris killed everything I thought we had. I told her, my voice quiet but absolute. Now you both get to live with that decision. Silence hung in the room like a noose. Get out of my office, Scarlett, I ordered. Go call Grayson. Tell him how your perfect plan fell apart. Tell him how you lost everything trying to have it all. For a second, all I could hear was her breathing, ragged and shallow. Then a choked sob, followed by the hurried, uneven clack of her heels retreating down the hallway. A few minutes later, I heard the front door slam and the roar of her car engine. Tires squealed on the pavement, then faded into the night. I sat back down at my desk, hands calm and steady. My inbox was already flashing with new messages. Ronan confirming the filings, the PI confirming the delivery of the evidence packages. The wheels were turning. My phone buzzed, lighting up with a flurry of desperate texts. Please don't do this. We can fix this. I'm sorry. Daddy, please. I shut the phone off without a word. They had their chances. They had made their choices. Now they would face the consequences. The sun had set completely, leaving my office cloaked in shadows. But for the first time since I had uncovered their betrayal, I felt clear, focused. The pain was still there, a hollow, raw ache in my chest where trust used to live. But something new had taken root alongside it, purpose. They wanted to play games with my trust? Fine. I'd make sure they understood the cost of their deception in a way they'd never forget. The 43rd floor of Seattle's Columbia Center had a view that matched Ronan Chase's legal reputation. Expansive, commanding, and intimidating as hell. I stood at the wall of glass, watching the morning fog curl around the skyscrapers, swallowing them one by one. Behind me, Ronan flipped through the latest stack of surveillance reports, his fingers quick, practiced, merciless. Your PI doesn't miss anything, he remarked, adjusting those wire-rimmed glasses of his as he spread out the photos like damning evidence at trial. Look at this, timestamps, locations, even some audio. Grayson and Scarlett have gotten careless. I turned from the window, catching a ghost of my own reflection in the glass. A man I barely recognized, harder, colder, but unbroken. They think they're untouchable, I said flatly. That I'm too blind or too weak to act. Ronan lifted a photo, holding it between two fingers. Speaking of acting, he said, here they are at Camia's last night. That was what your wife claimed was a late client meeting. I took the photo. My jaw tensed until it ached. Scarlett and Grayson, cozy in a corner booth. His hand covering hers on a white linen tablecloth, their faces close together. The soft restaurant lighting caught the gold of Scarlett's wedding ring, my ring, still on her finger. She didn't even bother to take it off. I murmured, voice low and dangerous. The ring I gave her 23 years ago, and she wears it while she's with him. Ronan nodded grimly. There's more, he added, pulling up his tablet. Security footage from the Four Seasons lobby. He pressed play. Scarlett and Grayson again, entering the lobby, Grayson's hand on the small of her back, guiding her like he owned her. She was laughing, leaning into him with a softness that used to belong to me. That's from Tuesday, Ronan explained. According to her firm's billing records, she was in depositions all afternoon. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Depositions, I repeated. Is that what they're calling it now? Ronan set the tablet down. His voice was steady, clinical. Cameron, the evidence is overwhelming. There's no contest here. But what's your endgame? A standard divorce would be straightforward enough. I placed the photo of Scarlett and Grayson back on his desk, with slow, deliberate care. I don't want straightforward, I told him. Ronan leaned back, studying me with a wary respect. Define nuclear, he said. I didn't hesitate. I want everything they've built to burn, I said. Their careers, their reputations, their perfect little world. All of it. I locked eyes with him, unflinching. Even Iris's part in it. I added, voice cold. Especially Iris's part. Ronan gave a low whistle. Cameron, that's... I cut him off, pulling out my phone and shoving it toward him. A recent text from Iris glowed on the screen. Dad, Mom's crying herself to sleep. Please talk to us. We can still fix this. Ronan adjusted his glasses, watching me with that measured, calculating calm. She's still trying to play mediator, he said, tapping his screen. They both are. Listen to this voicemail Scarlett left yesterday. He hit play, and her voice spilled into the room. Cameron, please. I know I made a terrible mistake, but think about our family. About Iris. 23 years of marriage has to mean something. Call me back. We can work through this. I stood there, letting the false sweetness of her voice wash over me, a poison I no longer felt. Sounds rehearsed, Ronan observed dryly. Everything about her is rehearsed, I said. But then I pulled another sheet from my folder and tossed it onto his desk. Here's the interesting part, I told him. While she was leaving that message, practically on her knees for reconciliation, I paused for effect, savoring it. She was meeting with divorce attorney Penelope Morgan. My PI got photos of her leaving Morgan's office. Ronan's brows shot up, his sharp lawyer's mind clicking instantly. Morgan? Scarlett went to her. She's known for aggressive settlements, rarely leaves anything for the other spouse. Exactly, I said, voice like a blade. Scarlett's trying to keep me calm, string me along while she arms herself for war. A cold smile tugged at my lips. But I'm better at war than she thinks. Ronan nodded, opening a legal pad. Walk me through what you want. Step by step, I began to pace, slow and controlled, shoes silent on Ronan's thick carpet. First phase is already done, financial isolation. I froze the accounts, canceled the cards, restricted access. They're feeling the squeeze. Ronan leaned back, intrigued. How are they responding? Iris called me 12 times yesterday about her rent. I told him. Scarlett tried to access the investment accounts, locked out. I let out a humorless chuckle. Grayson's discovering that five-star hotels expect actual payment. A flicker of amusement crossed Ronan's face. And phase two? I stopped pacing and turned to him, letting him see the absolute resolve in my eyes. Reputation destruction, I said. I want everything public. The affair, the financial manipulation, Iris's role in covering it up. Their perfect little facade, I want it shattered, in front of everyone who matters to them. Ronan flipped to a new page in his notes. Timing is crucial for maximum impact. When do you want to move? The Morgan Foundation Gala is next week, I replied. Scarlett's firm is hosting. All the partners will be there, including Grayson. Half of Seattle's legal community under one roof. Ronan nodded, scribbling quickly. A very public venue. Exactly, I confirmed. Any specific strategy? I pulled out a neatly organized binder, slapping it on his desk. I prepared a presentation. Photos, receipts, text messages, everything documenting their betrayal. I want it displayed on every screen in that ballroom. Ronan looked up sharply. He hesitated, searching for the word, nuclear. That's the point. I said, I want every colleague, every friend, every client to see exactly who they are. I want their carefully constructed lives to collapse in front of everyone they ever fooled. Before Ronan could reply, the intercom buzzed. Mr. Chase, Scarlett Myers is here. She's demanding to speak with you. Ronan and I exchanged a look. Perfect timing, I murmured. Let's see how the great lawyer handles confrontation. Ronan cleared his throat. Send her in, he called out. The heavy oak door burst open. Scarlett strode in, Louis Vuitton heels clicking sharply where the carpet ended. She wore a cream-colored Chanel suit, probably worth more than most people's entire monthly salary. But even that flawless designer armor couldn't hide what was happening to her. The stress had left its mark, dark circles smudged beneath her eyes, only partially concealed by expensive makeup. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched her designer handbag. How dare you? Scarlett spat, her voice vibrating with rage, eyes locked on Ronan. 20 years you've been our family lawyer. 20 years of trust, and this is how you repay it. Ronan didn't even flinch. He smoothed his tie, calm as ever. Mrs. Myers, he replied evenly, I represent Cameron's interests. Given the circumstances. The circumstances? She exploded, whipping around to face me, her voice pitching higher. Is that what we're calling your vindictive crusade now? I met her gaze, steady as stone. Interesting choice of words, I said coldly, coming from someone who's been sleeping with her colleague while turning her daughter into a lookout. Don't you dare bring Iris into this, she shrieked, a vein in her temple throbbing. You brought her into it. I shot back, letting every syllable slice through the lie. You turned our daughter into your accomplice. Was it your idea or hers to use my money to fund your hotel meetings with Grayson? A flush of color rose in her cheeks. Anger, shame, I couldn't tell. You have no proof, she tried, voice shaking. Ronan interrupted smoothly, sliding a thick folder across his polished desk. Actually, he said, we have extensive proof. Would you like to start with the hotel receipts? The restaurant bills? Or perhaps the text messages coordinating your business meetings? Scarlett's hands trembled as she tore open the folder, her breath quickening with each page she turned. I saw her face go pale, her mask cracking for the first time. How did you? I'm thorough, I told her, stepping closer so she could see exactly how calm I'd become. Unlike you and Grayson. Sloppy, really, using the same hotels, meeting during office hours, dragging our daughter into it, with my money. Cameron, please, she stammered, her voice cracking. Whatever pity I'd once had for her was long gone. Whatever you're planning, you'll find out soon enough. I cut in, turning to Ronan. Are we done here? One more thing, Ronan said, pulling out a document bound in blue legal tape. Scarlett, this is a courtesy copy of the divorce filing. You'll be formally served tomorrow at your office. Scarlett snatched the papers from him, her lawyer instincts taking over as her eyes darted across the text. But then her face shifted from stunned to furious. These terms are ridiculous. She slammed the papers down on Ronan's desk. No judge will. A judge, I interrupted, might be very interested in how you used company time and resources to conduct your affair. Not to mention those creative billing declines while you were otherwise occupied. Her eyes went wide, panic creeping in. You wouldn't dare expose that, she choked out. It would destroy my career. Now she understood. Exactly, I said softly, leaning forward. Now you're getting it. I moved to the door, not even giving her another look. Oh, and Scarlett. I paused, turning my head slightly. Tell Grayson I said hello. You'll both be hearing from the ethics board soon. Cameron, she called after me, her voice cracking. Everything we built, 23 years, you destroyed it. I turned fully, letting her see how dead my eyes had gone. Every lie, every betrayal, every time you involved our daughter in your deception. You did this, I told her. Now you get to live with the consequences. I left her standing there, clutching those divorce papers like a drowning woman grasping a lifeline, her pristine mask in ruins. Later that night, I sat alone in my home office, the low hum of the city beyond my window, reviewing the final plans for the gala for exposure. The phone buzzed in my hand. A new text from Grayson Steele himself. We need to talk. Man to man. This doesn't have to get ugly. I laughed, a dark, hollow laugh that felt foreign in my own throat, and typed back. It got ugly the moment you started sleeping with my wife. A second buzz. Think about what you're doing. This won't just hurt Scarlett. Think about your daughter. Should have thought about that before you helped destroy my family. I texted back to Grayson. My thumbs barely hesitated before I fired off the next line. Let's meet tomorrow. I can explain everything, he begged. Nothing to explain, I replied. But stay tuned. Things are about to get very interesting. The doorbell rang, interrupting the steady beat of my pulse. I glanced at the security monitor and felt the familiar ache twist in my chest. Iris stood there on the porch, hugging herself against the chill. She looked so thin, the designer clothes hanging loose on her like a costume that no longer fit. I thumbed the intercom. Go home, Iris. Dad, please. Her voice cracked through the speaker, desperate. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I clenched my jaw. Why? So you can run back to your mother and feed her more intel. No, she choked out. I need to understand what you're planning. People are scared. Good, I thought, but against my better judgment, I buzzed the door. She pushed open the office door moments later, looking younger than 20, eyes raw and red from crying. You look terrible, I observed flatly. She stepped inside uninvited, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. Everything's falling apart, she whispered. Mom can't sleep. Grayson's threatening to end things. The partners at the firm are asking questions about billing irregularities. I let a cold smile cross my face. Sounds like karma to me. Is that what this is about? She pleaded. Revenge. I stood slowly, feeling the weight of every choice settle on my shoulders. No, Iris. This is about consequences. Actions have them. It's time you both learned that. By destroying Mom's career, her reputation. I bit down on the wave of disgust. She destroyed her own reputation the moment she started sleeping with Grayson. You just helped her hide it. She was unhappy. Iris's voice cracked. She felt trapped, ignored. She could have talked to me. I slammed my fist on the desk, making her flinch. She could have asked for counseling, for changes, for a divorce. Instead, she chose to lie, to cheat, and to manipulate you into helping her. I didn't want to help, she sobbed, tears streaking her face. She said if I didn't, she'd leave. She said you'd never forgive her, that you'd destroy everything. And look what happened anyway. My laugh was hollow, slicing the air like a scalpel. She manipulated you just like she manipulated me. The difference is, you chose to be her accomplice. She was silent then, except for quiet sniffles, shoulders shaking. The gala tomorrow night, she finally said, voice small. Mom's terrified. You're planning something, aren't you? She should be. I told her, flat and final. Dad, please. Whatever it is. Get out. I roared, the rage too big to contain. She jumped back, eyes huge. You lost the right to ask anything of me the moment you chose to help her betray me. She fled, sobbing, the door slamming behind her hard enough to rattle the picture frames on the wall. I stood alone in the echo, breathing heavy, letting the silence settle before turning back to my computer. The presentation was already queued up, photos, receipts, text messages, a blueprint of betrayal, bulletproof and undeniable. Everything ready to expose them for what they really were. My phone buzzed again. Scarlett's name. The gala tomorrow. Please think about what you're doing. I didn't respond. Let her twist in her own panic. Let her wonder how thoroughly her carefully constructed world was about to collapse. The next evening, I stood before my bedroom mirror, adjusting my bow tie with a steady, practiced hand. Tom Ford, perfectly tailored, sharp enough to cut glass, whispered power, old money, absolute control. My phone buzzed again, a final chorus of desperation. Iris, Dad, I'm begging you, don't do this. Scarlett, we can talk about this. Please don't destroy everything. Grayson, be reasonable. Think about the consequences. I silenced it and slipped it into my pocket. The time for talk was long past. The Morgan Foundation Gala had transformed the Grand Hyatt's ballroom into a shrine of polished wealth and manufactured grace, glittering chandeliers, crisp tuxedos, champagne flutes clinking in every direction. A string quartet sawed through a Mozart arrangement in one corner, barely heard over the chatter of Seattle's legal elite, all eager to display their power and social polish. My eyes swept the room, methodical, hunting. There, Scarlett. Black Valentino gown, perfectly draped, her hair arranged with meticulous precision. The same perfection she'd always pursued, down to the smallest detail. Except tonight I could see it for what it was, a costume. I watched the way her smile was a little too stiff, her shoulders tense under the silk, her eyes constantly scanning the room. For me, no doubt. Across the ballroom, Grayson lurked, his tuxedo doing nothing to hide how ill at ease he looked, his posture all wrong, hands fidgeting. He was watching Scarlett with that same glassy-eyed lust I'd seen in the surveillance photos. Neither of them had spotted me yet. Good. Cameron, a voice called. I turned to see Samantha Chase, the managing partner at Scarlett's firm, gliding up with a practiced smile. I didn't know you were coming. Scarlett didn't mention it. I returned a smile of my own, razor sharp. I'm full of surprises tonight, Samantha. Actually, I was hoping to say a few words. I've prepared something special for the occasion. Her eyes brightened. Of course, we're doing speeches in about 20 minutes. I'll add you to the list. Perfect. As she drifted away, I turned my gaze back to Scarlett. She had finally seen me. Her smile slipped, champagne glass frozen halfway to her lips. I watched the panic bloom in her eyes. Predictably, she reached for her phone, probably warning Grayson. Right on cue, Grayson appeared at her elbow, trying to follow her frantic gestures. I could see them arguing, Grayson's face darkening, Scarlett shaking her head hard as he tried to start toward me. Too late, I thought. Far, far too late. 20 minutes later, Samantha tapped her glass for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for supporting the Morgan Foundation tonight. We have a special presentation from Cameron Myers, husband of our own Scarlett Myers. I stepped onto the stage. Calm. Precise. I plugged my USB drive into the laptop linked to the ballroom screens, feeling a hush ripple through the crowd. Scarlett and Grayson were pushing through the guests, trying to reach me, but the flow of people slowed them like mud. Good evening. I began, my voice ringing clear through the speakers. Many of you know me as Scarlett's husband. Others know me as a business owner, a colleague, a friend. Tonight, I'd like to share something about trust, integrity, and consequences. The first photo appeared on the giant screens. Scarlett and Grayson, entering the Four Seasons together. The timestamp as clear as a scar. There was a collective gasp, a sharp exhale from the assembled crowd. You see, I continued, my voice steady. While my wife was billing clients for strategy meetings, she was engaged in a different kind of partnership. More images cycled onto the screens, restaurant receipts, hotel invoices, text messages, each one driving the knife deeper. Scarlett finally reached the podium, eyes wide, her voice cracking. Cameron, stop this, she begged, her hand grabbing for my arm. But I didn't even flinch. Wait, I told her, never breaking eye contact with the audience. There's more. Credit card statements lit up the screens next, highlighting transaction after transaction, payments routed through my daughter's accounts. Not content with just betraying me, I continued, ignoring Scarlett's pale, stricken face inches away from mine. They enlisted my daughter to help hide their affair, using my money, my trust, to fund their deception. You're making a mistake, Grayson growled, grabbing my arm. I looked him straight in the eye, the same eyes that had sized up my wife like a trophy, and shook him off like he was nothing. No, I said, calm, lethal, I'm correcting one. Then I turned back to the stunned audience, refusing to lose my rhythm. The ethics board has received copies of everything you're seeing. I continued, letting my voice cut through the sudden chaos. As have the relevant bar associations. I believe they'll find it particularly interesting how client billing hours were used to cover your personal activities. All around me, the ballroom had detonated. People were talking over each other, pointing at the screens, some covering their mouths in shock. Samantha Chase was stalking toward the stage, her face a gathering thunderstorm. I could hear snippets. The Four Seasons. On client time. Their own daughter. It was a symphony of their downfall. I let it wash over me and raised my voice once more, making sure Scarlett and Grayson could hear every syllable. I've learned something valuable tonight. I let the pause sting. Trust, once broken, can never be repaired. And actions. My eyes locked on Scarlett's. Her mascara had smudged, streaks of panic carved down her perfect face. Have consequences. I stepped down from the podium, feeling Grayson trying to get closer, Scarlett reaching out with a trembling hand. I ignored them both, leaving the evidence rolling on the screens like a grim fireworks show. As I walked toward the exit, I caught Samantha's voice booming behind me. Grayson, Scarlett, my office. First thing tomorrow morning. And someone get our PR team on the phone, now. Perfect. The moment I stepped into the cool night air, a weight lifted from my chest. I loosened my bow tie, breathing deep, letting the rush of adrenaline settle. My phone was vibrating so hard it felt like a living thing. Calls, texts, news alerts, all fighting for my attention. I ignored them. The trap had sprung exactly the way I'd designed it. I slid into the back of the waiting car. My phone finally demanded notice with a text from Ronan. Ronan, ethics board received everything. Emergency meetings scheduled Monday. Local news already picking up the story. Another pinged in, this time from the PI. PI, social media's exploding. Videos from the gala are going viral. I let out a slow, measured laugh. Scarlett and Grayson's careers, dead. Their reputations, ashes. Their perfect illusions, obliterated. And this was only the first night. The following morning, sunlight poured into my office through tall windows, slicing across the computer screens stacked with news reports. Prominent lawyer's affair exposed at charity gala. Ethics scandal rocks top Seattle law firm. Daughter helped mother hide affair. Sex, lies, and billing fraud. Seattle's legal elite in ruins. Each headline felt like a bullet I'd fired on target. My phone rang, Ronan again. I took it on speaker. You've seen the coverage? Ronan asked, no pleasantries. Every word. I answered. It's spreading faster than I hoped. Seattle Times has it as their lead. Legal blogs are dissecting it line by line. Samantha Chase called an emergency partnership meeting for 9 o'clock this morning. And guess what? Grayson and Scarlett have been explicitly uninvited. I smiled. How's Grayson holding up? Ronan chuckled darkly. He tried mumbling something about personal matters and privacy before practically running from the cameras. Scarlett went completely dark, not a word to anyone. Good, I said, letting my voice chill. Want to hear something interesting? Ronan asked. Always. System logs show Grayson tried accessing the firm's client files at 3 in the morning. Contact lists, billing records, anything he could use to rebuild somewhere else. Your PI flagged it. And locked out. Permanently. I allowed myself a thin, satisfied smile. Planning his escape. Pathetic. He's finished in Seattle, Ronan confirmed. No reputable firm will touch him after this. Before I could reply, the intercom crackled to life, the security guard from the front gate sounding hesitant. Mr. Myers? Your wife, Mrs. Myers, is here with Mr. Steele. She's quite insistent. I checked the gate camera, and the sight nearly made me laugh out loud. Scarlett and Grayson stood there like drowned rats, looking as if they'd aged a decade overnight. Scarlett's usually perfect hair was flat, her designer outfit rumpled, the expensive fabric creased in ways she'd never allow if her world hadn't just collapsed. Grayson looked worse, his tie half undone, shirt wrinkled, face pale, the desperate panic practically radiating off him. Ronan, I said into the phone, I'll call you back. The star-crossed lovers have arrived. You want me to listen in? He asked. No need. I can handle this performance. I hit the intercom. Security, send them up. And record everything. I leaned back, fingers steepled, watching them on the internal feed as they stepped into the hallway. Their frantic whispers reached me through the mic. Let me do the talking, Scarlett was saying, voice cracking. He might still listen. Listen? After what he did last night. Grayson's voice was edged with raw anger. He's destroyed everything. He's hurt, she shot back. If I can just make him understand. That was enough. I let my voice cut straight through their pathetic little strategy session as they reached my door. Understand what? I called out coldly. How you betrayed me. How you corrupted our daughter. Please, enlighten me. They stepped inside, Grayson a step behind her, his confidence in tatters. Up close they looked even worse, their skin waxy, eyes bloodshot, shoulders slumped. Scarlett tried first, hands out in that lawyerly placating gesture I'd seen her use on juries for years. Cameron, we need to talk about this. Rationally. I laughed, hard, sharp, humorless. Like how you rationally decided to sleep with your coworker? I said. Or how you rationally decided to teach our daughter to help you cover your lies. Grayson stepped forward, a flush creeping up his neck. The firm is in chaos, he spat, voice cracking. Clients are calling, demanding explanations. The ethics board. I spun my laptop around, the headlines cycling across the screen like a ticker of their destruction. Seattle's legal power couple exposed. Sex, lies, and billing fraud. Ethics scandal engulfs Morgan Foundation gala. I let Grayson drink in every headline. How does it feel, Grayson? I said evenly, watching your career implode in real time. He tried to square his shoulders, forcing what was left of his bravado. You've made your point, he barked, stepping closer. Call off the dogs. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. I stood slowly, my body uncoiling like a loaded spring. A misunderstanding? I repeated, venom dripping from every syllable. Was it a misunderstanding when you took my wife to the Four Seasons? When you billed romantic dinners to your clients? When you helped twist my daughter into your personal errand girl? Grayson flinched, shooting a furious glare at Scarlett. I never wanted Iris involved, he snapped. That was her idea, not mine. Scarlett's mask shattered. Grayson, she gasped, voice breaking. What? It's true, he spat, voice rising. You're the one who insisted she help. Said it would be easier if she managed the arrangements. I watched them throw each other to the wolves without hesitation, their so-called love dissolving right in front of me. The moment was almost poetic. Throwing each other under the bus already, I said with a thin, predatory smile. Didn't take long. Cameron, please, Scarlett tried again. Coming closer, desperation leaking out of every pore. Whatever you want, money, property, anything. Just stop this. The ethics board is reviewing our licenses. Our careers are over. I stared into her tear-rimmed eyes, feeling absolutely nothing. Just like our marriage, I said flatly. Just like Grayson's precious partnership. Just like everything you two built on lies. Grayson exploded, his voice going savage. Listen, you self-righteous scumsucker. I moved faster than he expected, grabbing the front of his tie, yanking him forward until his face was inches from mine. I could see every drop of fear in his eyes. No, you listen, I hissed. You took my wife. You helped destroy my family. You corrupted my daughter. Now you get to watch everything you built burn to the ground. I shoved Grayson back, letting him stumble over his own cowardice. The look on his face, that panicked, hollow dread, almost made me smile. Cameron. Scarlett's voice cracked, thin and raw. Think about Iris. Her scholarship review is tomorrow. I turned my eyes on her, letting her see every ounce of the contempt I felt. Yes, I know. I made sure they had copies of everything. Every shred of evidence. How she helped you hide your affair. Every lie. Every manipulation. Every betrayal. Her face blanched, mouth dropping open. She's your daughter, she pleaded. She was my daughter. I corrected, my voice cold enough to burn. Now she's just another conspirator in your betrayal. My phone buzzed, a text from Ronan. Ethics board convening now. Evidence being presented. I looked at them, their faces slack with dread. I believe the ethics board is waiting, I said coolly, turning back to my computer. Oh, and Grayson, don't bother trying to access any more firm files. IT has locked you out completely. Grayson's complexion went to ash. How did you? I know everything. I cut in, my smile like a blade. Every desperate attempt to salvage your career, every call to other firms, every rejected application. Face it, Grayson, you're finished in Seattle. You can't do this, Grayson rasped, voice breaking. My reputation is exactly what it should be, I snapped. A man who sleeps with his colleagues' wives, who helps manipulate their children, who betrays every personal and professional trust placed in him. I stood, straightening to my full height. Now get out. Both of you. Cameron. Scarlett tried one last, pathetic gasp. Out. I repeated, final. They fled, Grayson almost tripping over himself, Scarlett's heels hammering down the hall in a panicked staccato. I watched them go through the security feed, saw them arguing in the driveway before they split, driving away in separate cars like the cowards they'd always been. My phone lit up with more updates from Ronan. Ethics board reviewing billing records, especially those that overlap with hotel stays. PI reports Grayson tried to book a flight to Los Angeles, card declined. Local news requesting comment on law firm's scandal and family involvement. I was still processing it all when the intercom buzzed again. Mr. Myers, your daughter is here, the guard reported. Alone this time. I clicked to the camera feed and saw Iris standing there, shoulders hunched, face streaked with cheap mascara that looked like war paint. The expensive clothes she'd bought with my money now hung off her like rags, as though she'd shed 20 pounds of pretense along with the weight of the last few days. Send her away, I said reflexively. The guard hesitated. She says she has documents from the university. Something about her scholarship. I paused, staring at her face on the screen. Broken. Defeated. Send her up. I watched her walk the long driveway, every step hesitant, the confident strut gone, replaced by a kind of meek dread I'd never seen in her before. She looked like a child again, a child who knew they'd failed a test that mattered. She knocked softly at my door. Come in, I called. Iris stepped inside, clutching a battered manila envelope like a lifeline. She didn't even try to smile. They suspended my scholarship, she blurted, her voice hoarse, broken. The ethics committee wants a formal hearing next week. Her breath hitched, tears welling. Dad, I can't afford tuition without it. I'll have to leave school. I nodded. letting the silence hang heavy between us. Sounds like a consequence of your choices. My choices? She snapped, stepping forward as anger momentarily flared through the heartbreak. Mom manipulated me. She said if I didn't help, she'd leave. That it would be my fault if the family fell apart. Her voice cracked again. So you chose to help her destroy it. Instead, she had the gall to say she'd been trying to keep everyone together. I stared at her, letting the disgust rise unchecked. By lying to me, I demanded, my voice low and dangerous. I stood, letting my full height force her to shrink back. By using my money to fund their affair? By covering their tracks while they made a fool of me? Her tears started again, streaking down her face like ink in the rain. I didn't know what else to do, she sobbed. She's my mother. And I'm your father. I cut in, each word sharp as a blade. The father who worked 60-hour weeks to provide for you. Who paid for every advantage, every opportunity, every luxury you ever enjoyed. I stepped closer, my voice turning to ice. And how did you repay that devotion? By helping your mother betray me. She dropped her gaze, shoulders crumpling. Please, she whispered, I'll lose everything. My education, my future. I laughed. There was no warmth in the sound. Like I lost my family. Like I lost my trust. Like I lost my marriage. Dad, no. I raised a hand, slicing through her protests. You made your choice, Iris. You chose loyalty to a liar over loyalty to the truth. Now you get to live with that decision. Her voice went small, ragged. What am I supposed to do? Whatever you want, I told her coldly, turning back to my computer. But you'll do it without my help. Without my money. Without my support. A fresh wave of sobs overtook her. I have nothing left, she choked. My friends won't talk to me. Social media is destroying me. I can't even pay my rent. Then I said, barely glancing over my shoulder, you start looking for a job. One that doesn't involve helping people cheat and lie. Daddy, please. Get out. She stood there for a heartbeat, just crying, her sobs echoing off the walls of my office. Then, shoulders shaking, she turned and fled. Through the security feed, I watched her stumble down the driveway, nearly colliding with Scarlett, who was storming back in like a hurricane. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Myers, the guard said, voice wary. Mrs. Myers is back. She's demanding to speak with you. About Miss Iris. I took a breath, steady and controlled. Send her up. One last time. Scarlett slammed through my office door moments later, her face a mask of rage instead of desperation. Are you happy now? She spat. Our daughter is breaking apart. I laughed, cold, merciless. Our daughter? You lost the right to call her that the moment you turned her into your accomplice. Scarlett advanced on my desk, voice trembling. She just told me about the scholarship committee. They're going to expel her. I folded my arms. Actions have consequences, Scarlett. Isn't that what you always told her? Her voice cracked, the lawyer's polish gone. This is cruel, even for you. Cruel. I rose slowly, towering over her. Cruel like having our daughter make hotel reservations for your affair? Cruel like teaching her to lie straight to my face? Cruel like destroying her moral compass to cover your betrayal? I made mistakes, she blurted, as if that could explain away everything. No, I growled, voice like thunder. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did was calculated betrayal. You deliberately corrupted our daughter, turned her against me, used her to hide your affair. Her shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of her. And this, she whispered, this is your revenge? Destroying her future? She destroyed her own future. I spat. Every time she lied for you. Every time she helped hide your affair. Every time she chose loyalty to a cheater over loyalty to the truth. My phone buzzed, Ronan again. Ethics board decision in. Both licenses suspended pending full investigation. Recommendation for permanent disbarment to follow. I showed Scarlett the message, enjoying the way her eyes widened, horrified. Congratulations, I sneered. You just made legal history. Fastest partnership destruction in the firm's records. Scarlett's legs gave out, and she sank heavily into a chair, staring at the floor. Everything I worked for, 20 years building my career, all gone. I leaned in, letting her see every ounce of my contempt. Just like our marriage. Just like Grayson's partnership. Just like Iris's scholarship. Her voice was a whisper now, defeated. What do you want from us? I straightened, calm and absolute. Nothing, I said. I want nothing from either of you. Not your excuses. Not your tears. Not your manipulation. I paused, letting each word settle like a hammer on stone. You made your choices. All of you. Now you get to live with the consequences. My computer chimed with new emails, each one like a final nail in the coffin. University board, scholarship terminated, effective immediately. Ethics hearing scheduled. Good. Actions. Consequences. Another ping. Local news. Law firm announces partner terminations amid scandal. Perfect. Then one more from Ronan, crisp and professional as always. Ronan Chase, divorce papers processed. All assets secured. It was done. Every safeguard in place. Every wall built to keep them out. I looked up to find Scarlett still hovering, her face drained, shoulders sagging under the weight of the world she'd demolished with her own hands. Get out. I told her, go comfort our daughter. Explain to her how mommy's choices destroyed both your futures. She took an unsteady breath, tears shimmering. You'll never forgive us, will you? I held her gaze, unblinking. Never. The word was iron, absolute. I felt no hesitation. Now get out of my house. And don't come back. She nodded, defeated, and turned, her steps shaky. I didn't watch her leave. Instead, I stepped to the window, staring out as dusk swallowed the skyline. One by one, the city's lights flickered to life, the world carrying on while theirs crumbled. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Headlines multiplied by the minute. Top law firm partners dismissed amid ethics scandal. University revokes scholarship in wake of family fraud. Legal community reacts to unprecedented partnership collapse. I scrolled through each with the detachment of a surgeon examining a finished operation. Their perfect world, their carefully curated image, their web of lies, all of it laid bare and burned to ash. Scarlett and Grayson, careers obliterated. Their reputations, annihilated. Their social standing, gone, evaporated overnight. And Iris, my own daughter, her academic future, shattered. Her part in the deception, now a matter of public record for the world to dissect. My phone lit up again, one final, pathetic plea. A group text, both their names attached. We know we can never undo what we did, but we want you to know how sorry we are for everything. I didn't even hesitate. Deleted. Gone. Forgiveness? That word had no place in my vocabulary anymore. They had thought me weak, blind, a fool to be manipulated. They'd underestimated me, used my love against me, twisted my daughter into a weapon. Now they understood the price. Every broken dream, every ruined relationship, every destroyed career. Payment in full for what they had done. And me? I felt nothing. No remorse, no pity, only the cold, clean satisfaction of a man who had delivered justice where it was deserved. They had tried to destroy my world through betrayal and lies. Instead, I had destroyed theirs with truth and precision. I switched off my phone, letting the silence fill the space. Then I poured myself a scotch, letting the burn settle into my chest as I watched the city lights pulse in the gathering darkness. The game was over. I had won, and I didn't regret a single moment of it. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.